It was a decision no one saw coming. On a quiet Tuesday, Ontario announced a total ban on all United States beef imports. The move was swift, decisive, and sent shockwaves through the global food system. The US-Canada beef trade chain was suddenly broken. Officials called it a precautionary measure, but the message was clear: something was wrong with American beef. The implications stretched far beyond Ontario's meat counters. Washington's reaction: disbelief, then anger. Doubt had been planted. If Canada rejected US beef, what would other countries think? Ontario's action created a domino effect. Other provinces murmured. The world was watching, and the stakes had never been higher. By acting alone, Ontario exposed the fragility of the system. The global food system would never be the same. The impact was immediate, felt where it mattered most: the grocery store. By the weekend, empty spaces appeared in Ontario's meat aisles. US beef was gone. The ban was no longer abstract. It was a reality for millions of shoppers. Scarcity triggered panic buying. Shoppers loaded carts with whatever beef remained. Prices for Canadian beef soared. A $10 package of ground beef was $12 by Friday. The ripple effect didn't stop at beef. Chicken, pork, and plant-based alternatives surged in popularity. It revealed our dependence on a single protein source. The grocery store became ground zero for a new food reality. The Ontario ban wasn't just a local story, it was global. The US is a giant in the international meat market. When Ontario closed its doors, the world took notice. Japan, South Korea, and Mexico started asking, is US beef safe? Trust in global trade began to erode. US beef futures plummeted. Traders lost fortunes overnight. Australia and Brazil saw opportunity, moving to fill the gap. The global balance of power in meat was shifting. The event exposed the vulnerability of a globalized food system built on efficiency and dependency. When one major producer falters, the whole system is at risk. The Ontario ban was a stress test, and the system showed cracks. The US scrambled to reassure trading partners. Rivals used the incident to question American reliability. What began as a provincial health concern became an international incident. In our interconnected world, a food safety issue can become a foreign policy crisis overnight. For a moment, the world learned to live without American beef. The lesson: food security is more fragile than we think. Ontario's official reason for the ban was cautious concerns about feed contamination. No specific outbreak, no sick consumers, just a focus on process. They pointed to regulatory loopholes in the US, suggesting unapproved substances in animal feed. This was a clever strategy, harder to refute and more alarming. The issue wasn't a single bad batch, but a systemic failure. The specter of contamination was more powerful than proof. Ontario's focus on animal feed was a direct attack on the industrial meat model. Cattle are fed complex mixtures, corn, soy, supplements, to fatten them quickly. The system is opaque. Outsiders can't know what's in the feed. Ontario exploited this lack of transparency, raising fears about hormones, antibiotics, and GMOs. These fears resonated with a public already skeptical of industrial agriculture. The conversation shifted from reaction to prevention. The ban implied the entire US system was suspect. It challenged US regulators and put the burden of proof on producers. For consumers, contamination is terrifying. Doubt alone changes behavior. Ontario's messaging was simple: US beef might not be safe. We're protecting you. The narrative cut through trade talk and spoke to basic fears. Once raised, the specter of contamination is hard to banish. The ban forced a new conversation about food safety, one that couldn't be ignored. The public's trust in the system was shaken to its core. The fallout in the US was devastating, felt most by American ranchers. Generations built their lives on raising cattle for a hungry nation. The Ontario ban felt like betrayal, an attack on their livelihood and identity. The market they relied on vanished. Cattle prices collapsed. Many ranchers faced bankruptcy, trapped by a system dominated by giant meat packers. Independent ranchers protested, demanding reforms, better labeling, antitrust enforcement, and transparency. The crisis exposed deep vulnerabilities in the US beef industry. Families lost land, small towns withered. The ban was more than a trade dispute. It was an existential threat to a way of life. The people who raised the food were the most exposed, yet least rewarded. The American rancher's plight became a symbol of a failing system. The crisis forced a painful conversation about the future of American agriculture. The industrial food system's tragic irony was laid bare. Producers and consumers alike were left questioning everything. The Ontario ban changed more than store shelves. It changed how people thought about food. A crisis of faith spread among consumers in Canada and beyond. Social media buzzed with one question: is my food safe? Trust in regulators and brands was shaken. Consumers demanded transparency. Clear labeling, honest sourcing, real information. The movement for food traceability exploded. Farmers markets and local producers saw a surge in demand. People wanted to know their food story and were willing to pay for it. The industrial food system was under scrutiny like never before. The ban accelerated a shift already underway toward local, transparent, trustworthy food. Every dollar spent became a vote for a different kind of system. The crisis of faith forced a reckoning and started a quiet revolution. The legacy of the ban was a new, empowered consumer. The food culture was changing, one basket at a time. The long-term consequences of Ontario's decision are still unfolding. But one thing is clear: the global plate is being reshaped. The dominance of U.S. agricultural exports is over. Countries have diversified, building new relationships with Canada, Australia, and South America. This makes the global food system more resilient. The U.S. must now reevaluate its agricultural practices. Transparency and traceability are no longer optional, they're essential. The definition of food security is changing. It's about sovereignty, local production, and resilient supply chains. Nations are investing in their own agriculture as a matter of security. The era of total reliance on global trade is ending. A new balance is emerging between global efficiency and local resilience. The Ontario ban may be remembered as a turning point. It forced the world to confront the hidden costs of industrial food. It challenged the idea that bigger and cheaper is always better. The global conversation about food values has begun. The way we answer will shape our plates for generations. The landscape of global food trade has been fundamentally altered. The era of blind trust in industrial systems is over. The Ontario beef ban was a catalyst for change. The future of food trade will be defined by verifiable trust and radical transparency. Traceability and honest labeling are now prerequisites for global business. Decentralized, resilient food systems are the new goal. Local and regional hubs will support global networks. Leadership will shift to those who produce the best, not just the most. Best will mean safety, sustainability, and fairness. Canada's bold move proved that credibility is power. The future of food is about more than commodities. It's about culture, health, and our relationship with the planet. A new dawn has arrived, and the world is watching.